South Pacific countries bid farewell to the year 2024 and welcome the year 2025 with fireworks and large parties. Palestinians received the new year in the midst of a humanitarian crisis, product of the Israeli genocidal operation in the region. And Panamanian President José Raúl Mulino reaffirmed the sovereignty of the Panama Canal on the 25th anniversary of its administration handover to the nation. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The South Pacific countries are the first regions worldwide to bid farewell to the year 2024 and welcome the year 2025. Kiribati was the first country to celebrate the arrival of the new year 2025 with fireworks and festivities. The city of Auckland in New Zealand joined this worldwide celebration with thousands of people and the traditional countdown and colorful fireworks launched from the country's tallest structure, the Sky Tower. Likewise, other regions such as Samoa, Tonga, Chatham Islands, Fiji and Australia celebrated with their families the traditional arrival of the new year. Around the world, people enter the new year at 38 different times during 26 hours. The Kiritimati Atoll Allies Christmas Island was the first to bring in the new year, located in Kiribati, a 33-island country in the Central Pacific Ocean. Other nations that already welcomed 2025 were New Zealand and Australia. Some people enjoy toasting twice for the new year, so they cross over time zone borders. They can travel from Sweden to Finland, from New Zealand to Cook Islands, from Guam to Honolulu, among other cases. Finally, Kiritimati will be into January 2nd, 2025, before uninhabited Howland and Baker Islands leave 2024 for their 26-hour time difference. The islands, which are officially part of the U.S. territory, are located in the Pacific Ocean. The Indian Space Research Organization ISRO described Tuesday as a success the liftoff of the SpaceX mission, the two-satellite docking experiment that will advance future manned spaceflight. Some goals of the SpaceX mission are to enhance and demonstrate the technology required for rendezvous, which involves docking and undocking of small spacecraft in a low circular orbit around the Earth. The project counts on a novel processor that facilitates determining accurately the relative position and velocity of small spacecraft. Moreover, the mission serves as a test for the Small Satellite Launch Vehicles (SSLV) that India started producing for commercial purposes. Furthermore, it will be paramount for future lunar expeditions and the Bharatiya Antariksha Station (BAS). Vietnam's capital will raise its stakes in the tourism sector by 2025. Hanoi expects to welcome 30 million tourists, including 7 million foreign visitors. The number compared favorably with the 2024 figures. This year, Hanoi welcomed over 27.8 million travelers, 12.7% more than in 2023. According to the Municipal Department of Tourism, in 2024, revenue generated by the sector totaled $4.33 billion, a year-on-year rise of 18.3%. The Vietnamese capital introduced more than 20 new night tourism activities this year and developed 7 pedestrian streets with culinary and cultural activities. The United States has detained nearly 44,000 people at its southern border with Mexico during the month of December. According to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Office, the figure could increase slightly in the last hours of 2024. The data corresponds to the statistics that have been maintained throughout the year. The Border Office assures that the levels registered since July are maintained and points out that December becomes the 6th consecutive month with figures lower than those registered in the monthly average of 2019. In this context, the Mexican government's immigration policy has achieved a 75% reduction in irregular crossings of its northern border. In the United States, California farmers are increasingly alarmed by President-elect Donald Trump's deportation plans, which threaten to disrupt the agricultural workforce. In the Central Valley, where nearly half of farm workers are undocumented, many farmers rely on this labor for essential tasks like hand-picking crops, while some dairy farmers remain skeptical about the likelihood of mass deportations. Fruit and nut growers fear that such actions could lead to significant labor shortages, resulting in wasted harvest and rising food prices. Many farmers who supported Trump now face the grim reality that his policies could devastate their operations. Advocates warn that mass deportations would not only harm the agricultural sector, but also exacerbate existing issues of food insecurity and inflation.
We don't know what mass deportation is going to mean. Okay, we don't know when it's going to start. He says it's going to be in day one. I don't know where he's going to start, because if there are millions of people here, he obviously can't cover the whole country at one time. I don't know where he's going to go. Hopefully it gives us time to reach out to the administration and talk to them about immigration for our essential workers, like our farm workers, that, you know, we can't have deportations here because it would disrupt our food supply for the country. We really don't think that anybody wants that.
And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Palestinians received the new year in the midst of a humanitarian crisis, a product of the Israeli genocidal operation in the region that entails the destruction of their territory under the indifferent gaze of most nations of the world. In this regard, the Palestinian Higher Presidential Committee for Church Affairs denounced in its New Year's message Tel Aviv's plan of extermination and occupation in the region, which the regime has been committing for over 14 months in open violation of human rights and in complicity with the international community. Furthermore, it warned that the Zionist forces campaign is targeting women and children, the elderly and holy places, and stressed that the legal and moral responsibility for these crimes falls on the leaders of the world, who should act to achieve global peace. Displaced Palestinians within the Gaza Strip are facing a difficult situation as heavy rains have flooded dozens of tents in Deir al-Balad downtown and in southern al-Mawasi. These rains are accompanied by thunderstorms and falling temperatures, aggravating the situation for the nearly 1.6 million Gazans illegally displaced to makeshift shelters. Gazan authorities reported that at least 110,000 out of the 135,000 tents in which the refugees are staying are unfit for use. As a result, thousands are subjected to rain and low temperatures, while the health system is slowly destroyed by the genocidal forces.
The outer tent, which we were using as a kitchen, collapsed, and inside the tent we were submerged in water and the ground became slippery.
I appeal to all Arab and foreign countries to try to save us and to immediately take the initiative to stop and end the war. We, as a Palestinian people, are tired. The water has submerged us, the tents have been blown away. All night long we have been holding on to our tents to cover ourselves. Where could we possibly go?
Through a joint statement, more than 11 experts at the service of the United Nations demanded an end to the protection of Israel's international allies so the Zionist regime can be held accountable for the genocide it commits on Gaza. The communique highlights the lack of responsibility of the Tel Aviv government for having openly defied international humanitarian law. To this end, experts from all fields listed with data the extensive number of war crimes perpetrated by the Israeli troops, among them murder, torture, sexual violence, forced displacement, destruction of hospitals, schools, and the use of starvation as a weapon of war. The crimes are part of the host of atrocities that Netanyahu's administration commits thanks to the protection provided by governments such as the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, among others. On Tuesday, Yemeni Houthi forces launched a drone and missile attack on the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier. Precisely, the spokesman for the Yemeni Armed Forces, Jaja Sadeh, informed that in a joint operation by the Navy, Missile Force and Air Force had managed to hit the 9th U.S. nuclear aircraft carrier. The military spokesman also said they had foiled an attack by Washington forces on their territory and revealed they had carried out an operation hours earlier using Palestinian Class 2 hypersonic missiles on Israeli territory. South Korean Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport briefed Tuesday, having identified 174 out of the 179 fatal victims from the December 30 plane crash at Muan Airport in the southern region. Experts are still working on identifying another 5 corpses, but those 174 remains have been handed over to their relatives. Authorities explained that the bodies are being preserved in a temporary cold storage facility installed in a hangar of the airport to keep them until their families take them. On this incident, just 2 people, both flight attendants, managed to survive after the plane crashed into a concrete wall. So far, both black boxes from Flight 2216, the flight data recorded, and the cockpit voice recorded have been found.
항공철도사고조사위원회 11 accident investigators from the Aviation and Railway Accident Investigation Board and 8 joint investigators from the U.S. will be dispatched to the scene and begin the accident investigation starting today. Among the 8 joint investigators from the U.S. side, 1 is from the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, 3 are from the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, and 4 from the aircraft manufacturer Boeing.
4명이 되겠습니다. 블랙박스와 관련돼서는
Regarding the black box, the Test and Analysis Center has completed cleaning the surface contamination and is currently checking its condition. However, it was found out that the flight data recorder has lost the connector of the data storage unit and the power supply unit. As a result, we are conducting a technical review to find a method to extract the data.
자료 추출 방법 등 기술적 검토를 진행.
Chinese President Xi Jinping addressed the nation in a New Year's speech broadcast highlighting China's roadmap for 2025 and stressing that current world challenges may be overcome with hard work.
In 2025, we will fully complete the 14th five-year plan. We must implement more proactive policies, focus on high-quality development, promote high-level scientific and technological self-reliance, and maintain the good momentum of economic and social development. The current economic system faces some new problems, challenges from the uncertainty of the external environment, and pressure from the transformation of new and old economic drivers, but these can be overcome through hard work.
On Tuesday, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed a series of attacks on Ukrainian territory with high-precision weapons. Russian forces shelled a military airfield and an enterprise of the military industry. Moscow forces also used unmanned aerial vehicles. The Defense Ministry added that the Black Sea Fleet destroyed 8 unmanned Ukrainian vessels, while its anti-aircraft defenses shot down more than 103 drones. Ukraine claimed in a morning report that its forces shot down a Russian helicopter and called the operation a historic event. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Panamanian President José Raúl Mulino reaffirmed the sovereignty of the Panama Canal on the 25th anniversary of its administration handover to the nation. In response to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's threats of appropriating the canal, Mulino clarified the waterway is not for sale, noting it will continue to belong to Panamanians and be at the service of the world. Even though the United States built it in 1914, the U.S. government transferred to Panama on December 31st, 1999. Nowadays, the U.S. is the canal's main user with over 160.1 million tons passing by the route, which represents 74.1% out of the total freight. Meanwhile, China and Japan take the subsequent positions as they harnessed the canal to move 45 million tons and 30.7 million tons, equal to 21.4% and 14.6% respectively in 2024.
Por nuestras manos neutrales, que las naciones no temen.
It is because of our neutral stance that nations do not fear that a canal of such a strategic level as the Panama Canal could be, or take an active part in any conflict, because we Panamanians are interested in a more connected world, with a more open trade, and with a greater exchange of goods between countries. There are no other forces involved in our canal but the Panamanian ones.
No hay otras manos en nuestro canal metidas, más que las panameñas.
Ecuador's National Electoral Council has rejected a request to discuss the irregularity that President Daniel Noboa intends to commit by staying in office while campaigning for re-election. The request made by Councilwoman Elena Nájera demanded the Council to decide over the application of the law in question, which obligates the head of state to take an unpaid leave of absence during the campaign for re-election that starts on January 5th. Noboa has failed to comply with Article 93 of the Democratic Code in order to avoid handing over the mandate to the Vice President Veronica Abad, as the Ecuadorian legal and constitutional framework require. In this context, after the Council's decision, Nájera accused her colleagues of siding with the President at the expense of democratic principles.
Yes, it is important that the National Electoral Council pronounces itself, by means of a resolution, so that from there the compliance, or non-compliance with the norm may be derived. Having said this, I know that you come to these sessions having previously discussed that you already know what is going to happen. I already anticipated it in an interview on the radio, that in general, the only counselor that is and acts alone is me, since all of you manage yourselves through previous discussions, even the schedules you set are already agreed upon. So because of that, the citizens tell you and are aware of who is going to manage the electoral processes, because it cannot be that here interpretations are given based on relationships with whichever government is in power.
Also in this regard, National Assembly member Lucia Pozo referred to the conduct of Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa, calling it an ethical fault and pointing out the legal breach it entails.
No authority can go out to campaign while being an authority. That has not been seen. It is not foreseen. But even before the law, ethically it is unpresentable that they want to support the President of the Republic, since surely if he wants to do it, the rest of us have to do the same, right? I find it really unconscionable, more so from the ethical standpoint than from the legal one, with which he is also being protected. And on the other hand, you must realize the immense contradiction that exists when there is a government that is precisely proposing to eliminate the financing of political organizations, right? And then wants the state to fund its campaign. It is laughable. They have no logic. They have no coherence whatsoever, to the point of imposing themselves under the arrogance, under the lack of capacity to reach an agreement among them.
In this context, the National Electoral Council of Ecuador approved an almost $14 million fund for the electoral campaign. Resources will be distributed in an equitable manner for leading campaigns on press, radio, television, social media, among others. The electoral activity is scheduled from January 5th to February 6th, 2025, for going to the polls, where over 13 million voters are eligible to elect the new Ecuadorian head of state. The 151 members of the National Assembly and the 5 representatives to Parliament will be elected as well. In Ecuador, the murder of the 4 missing children in Guayaquil is confirmed. The Ecuadorian Prosecutor's Office reports that the results of the examinations of forensic genetics confirmed that the 4 bodies found in Taura correspond to the 3 teenagers and a child who disappeared after a military operation on December 8th. The Venezuelan Public Prosecutor's Office reported Monday having released 1,369 detainees who had participated in the violent riots and crimes committed after the July 28 elections. The entity explained that from December 26 to 30, 413 petitions had been assessed to study the cases of those involved in acts of violence following the electoral process. These releases were granted under a process of respect and unrestricted observance of the principles and guarantees enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic in matters of human rights. Thus, the Public Prosecutor's Office reaffirmed its commitment to the defense of peace, justice, and the rights of Venezuelans. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.
Let the countdown begin in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,